Hello everyone, we're down here with another grounded video. Today's video I'm going to go over the ant prison. I have the old ant trap, I'll link that in the description below, but I upgraded to the ant prison. Now this is before 7.0, and you can see the clay foundations didn't want to work very well. You see how they're all over the place. I had to do what I had to do to make this work. I'm going to get up here and take a look inside. But you can see there are clay foundations just however I could to enclose this. Now the feathers keep landing on this, but that's fine. You see there's a ton of spike strips down inside. I put spike strips on the inside edge of the wall for the bees, because a bee goes in there every so often, and I'm like, oh great, now I have a bee inside here. Underneath, it looks like this. It doesn't look all that great. I've got walls and stuff covering all the holes and everything. But 7.0, I'm going to take damage, changed all that. 7.0 changed it to where that's no longer an issue. And the reason I have this here is because I needed ant eggs. Oh, ants are stuck in the ground. Great. I now have almost 5 full boxes of ant eggs, and I'll show that here in just a sec. And that's thanks to the ant trap as well as this ant prison. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to the current save, which is during the public test server on 7.0. And you'll see the massive change just to the exterior walls of this base. I don't have anything to cut these feathers. I know there's an axe on the wall. So instead of having, wall pieces all over the place, it's going to be nice and squared off. So you guys see that in just a second. So let me go ahead and pause that. Let me find my mouse again. And I'll be right back. Alright, and now we're back on the current build, the current save file. About 40 days of in-game time have moved forward. And you can see that the sides are nice and clean and straight. I still have the spike strips surrounding it. You see the just dozens of ants that are dead. So I keep my ant population low. It's always a good idea to clean up the dead bodies, just because it still counts as being in your world. So it's always a good idea to kind of run around every so often if you're doing something like this, and make sure you pick up your dead bodies. You can make a bunch of workers' comp smoothies. You can make just regular smoothie question marks, which is typically what I do. I'm not a big fan of the other smoothies, just because they have that very set specific ingredients list. Whereas this, I could just, the smoothie question marks, I make whatever I want. So, as you can see, we have a nice clean line, nice and straight. Same thing over here, we don't have that piece sticking off the side. And this side, which was absolutely bothering me so bad, is a nice clean line. The front edge did not change. This area did not change at all. The only area that really changed was me building back this way and underneath here. So it's cleaned up a bit. I still have ants that get their head stuck in a wall. Good job, buddy. Or in the ground. But I put all these foundations here to keep the ants from going up behind that area, because they would go up back here by this branch area and they get kind of stuck in that area. I'm like, why are they stuck there? I have to figure that out. So this still works. I mean, you see I'm still getting dozens of ants just dying inside and out. That's why I surrounded it. Yeah. Get out of the way, ant. That's why I surrounded the outside edge with spike strips as well, because, I mean, they're just walking on the strips and dying. They used to get mad at me when I collected the dead bodies. They don't do that anymore. It's always nice. So I'm just going to go around and clean up a little bit. Because by doing that, it just helps with the lag. Keeping the lag down. Now, this area has left a gap for a reason, so that I can walk through without dying. Helps with the cleanup. Plus, the spike strips disappeared in that mound of mud, and I didn't like the look of it. So it's two-purpose. As the purpose is twofold. And I can barely get away from this area before I have to go clean up more stuff. Let me eat and drink real quick before my character complains or makes a really cool noise. So this corner didn't change. I moved the smoothie station from out there into here, put the wall in, because you can pick them up and move them, so that's always nice to be able to do that. But because of this area, I now have full boxes of ant parts, acid glands. Still working on mandibles, because I used a lot of mandibles to make a bunch of the old recipe sap catchers, and I recommend you do the same. Put out as many as you can, just because why not? And then all these extra pieces. Oops, I do have more ant heads. I just saw that. all the extra pieces are getting turned into smoothies. All these smoothies are just from this kind of stuff where I'm just sitting there dumping it in to make more and more smoothies. So I'm not going to do that in the video. I'll do that after. I'll do it later off video. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause. We're going to head over into the haze. I have a base in the haze, and I'm going to show you the boxes that I have in there that are just full of ant eggs thanks to this. So 1 second, I'll be right back. All right, now I'm sliding back towards my haze base. I've got the gas mask in the hot pouch slot number 4 down the bottom of the screen. I'm about to put it on because I'm about to hit the thing. You can watch that it's going to steadily take damage the entire time I'm in here. So I'm going to hit this grass blade because even though I cut it down to the ground every single time, dry grass keeps coming back. It's great fun. I've talked to the devs about it. They're looking into it. But you can see there's a little bit of lag right now. I'm not sure why, but it happens. But because of that ant prison and the ant trap that's also linked in the description below, I've been able to go through. Now my problem is not ant eggs anymore. It's fungal growth. Not even dry grass. I need more fungal growth, and I can't spend a whole lot of time here in the haze because if you notice, it's starting to take damage. You know, you can see the movement a little bit. And the longer I stay here, obviously the worse it's going to get. So I'm going to go ahead and ride this tower back up because the top of the tower is technically out of the haze. So I'm going to get there, get out of the haze, and then we're going to switch over and get started with the actual build of the prison. So we get up here to the top. So that's 15 levels up. I think the haze goes up 14 levels. So 15 levels up and you are out of the haze. So if you want to build a base close to this, but you want your base up out of the haze, you got to build up high. I had somebody recommend that to me, but I was like, I wanted it down on the ground for a reason. But yes, you could build up really high to get up over the haze and build that way too if you want. So go ahead and pause it, and we'll be back in creative mode in just a second to do the actual building. So 1 moment. Alright guys, now we're back here in creative. I've already kind of laid out a few of these on the ground, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete a few off the edge, just to show that these can be laid down very easily. And once you got one down, you're good to go. Let me get rid of those. And I'm going to reconnect the two that I deleted off this little edge. I just have this sitting here so I have a kind of a starting edge. I wanted it to go about as far over here so that I'm looking back towards the anthill. I'm going just beside it. And now this one, you see, it's not quite as wide as I would like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and have this go up. From this corner, it's 7 sections tall. 7 foundation sections tall. And we're going to go 6 wide. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6. Now for this one, you can see it's looking a little close to the opening there. So I'm going to go 1 wider. Now, the how wide you go all depends on kind of where you start too. So if you start, you know, a little bit closer, whereas this one's right here, if I was maybe a little closer, that 6th one would have probably worked in just the right spot. So now you can literally just go straight across. And this is how they build in 7.0 now. I think there's something underground messing with these. There most definitely is something underground messing with them. That's why they're doing that. From a previous build I have, so like I said, you can literally just put them right into the ground. Let me get rid of this so I can get it out of the way. Boy. Now, obviously you don't have to go as tall as I did. I think people said 3 high is enough. I wanted to go big so that when I landed on it and I was in my spider armor, I wouldn't aggro the ants and they would start attacking my walls. I didn't want that to happen. Because that will happen. They will get mad at you for not wearing ant armor and attack the walls. Because they can't get to you. Which is why you saw some palisades on some of mine. But you see how these are going down super easy. And this is how they place now in 7.0. If they can attach to the one next to it, you're good to go. Now see, that one's being a little finicky. And I'm not sure why. See, that's still an issue that there's something under the ground I think is messing with it. That's not a problem. But you see, I can just kind of skip this space right here, nothing can get it anyway. It does look funny, I know, but you can always put a wall in front of it, or just don't be as wide as I am, because you can see I'm a lot wider than I need to be. I could probably have gotten away with it right here. Matter of fact, that's exactly what I should do. Is come back in here. Oh, it's fun deleting this. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause real quick while I delete that wall out and reset it real quick. Give me just a second. I'll be right back. Don't want to waste your time, guys. All right, so we're back. I had to just do a quick little adjustment. I've already laid out everything except the very top layer of the walls. I'm standing on 6 high foundations, six levels of foundation up. I'm gonna go ahead and do the 7th, and I'll count all these out so you guys can get all the counts for how far this is if you wanted to build something the same. So that's 7 high from this corner, since this is the lowest area. And then from here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we're going to go up 2. Put in a set of stairs. And we're going to go ahead and go around the other side and do the same thing. Now this one, I'm already standing on 1. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across. And the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 back. And now we're going to go up 2, and then it's going to go up 2 and back 3, which you saw me just do. So we're up 2, and then there's 3 more right here that are all level. This is the top area. This is where the base will sit. This is going to be the same height. That one will be 2 levels down. That's where the stairs go. Let's go back around. Actually, I'm just going to go straight across, because this right here where the stairs are is the beginning of the floor for the base. I used grass because there's grass right there. There's plenty of it. You don't have to do all the weed stems and stuff like I did, but there are weed stems not far from me. There's a few that spawn right close by. The rake isn't that far either. Or if you have the zip line, especially the zip line wall anchor, now you can just throw that down and send your stuff across the zip line. It's nice and easy. All right, so let's go ahead and get that last one right there. So like I said, it's 3 back, just like that. Then there was the opening, and that goes to the area around the house part. Yeah, the house part. So this is going to go to here, just like that. We'll go ahead and bring that outside wall up. Now this section was 5. So 1, 2, and then I'll have to do all the ones underneath. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that puts me all the way back here behind everything. Now you notice I didn't have to build the ones underneath for these. And you can do that the same way in the regular game in 7.0. You don't have to build the ones underneath. You can literally just build straight off the edge. Now here I'm going to throw in that set of stairs, because that's how I get down to get in there to clean out the dead ants that are around the spikes, as well as to get into my anthill. I have a video on lighting up the anthill by literally putting lights in the anthill. I'll link that in the description below, along with, like I said, the previous ant trap that I've used. I think I might have just messed myself up, so I'm going to build and jump on top of it. Dry grass does become a bit of a problem, because it doesn't matter how much you cut it down, it comes back. Pain in the butt. Alright, so this is 1, the stairs are at 2, 3, 4, and this will be 5. Now I'm just going to go ahead and cross this over. I'll get underneath it and fill them all in. But you would basically just take this straight down to the ground. The rest of this will be covered with grass. I like to have everything looking the exact same. That grass floor down there will go away. So those 2 grass floors will go away now. Let's see, can I make that jump up to that? It's close. It might be a good idea to, you know, maybe do something like that from here to here. You never know. It's up to you. It also depends on exactly where you start, because your start point does determine exactly where that stair kind of lines up. If you want to do the stairs off to the side like this, because that's my way in, is down this way. Let me go ahead and finish filling in the bottom side of all of these, just to close it in. Always fun when your camera goes inside your character's head. One thing I do recommend is filling these in all the way up to right there. You can't go any higher because you can't have grass directly on top of foundations, but you can have foundations directly on top of grass, which is weird. So yes, this is a lot of foundations. It is a lot of pebblets because it's now 3 pebblets instead of 1 per pebblet foundation. But filling this in, I would highly recommend if you don't want your ants to get around the heck around back here. They will get back here trying to find some way to escape the prison. You know, the inmates are trying to get out, basically. Now, if you saw in mine, I didn't close in around that. In case I ever, for whatever reason, wanted to come get that piece of sap, I could. And now this one's going to get closed in, though. I think in my world, I'm just short of closing in on that one. Let me delete that, because I can put one right there. Just so there's no weird little gap. But you can see, these go down so much easier. Even in creative, during 6.0, 6.1, 6.2, whichever version you're on. It was still a pain in the butt to build. Oh, okay, I built underneath myself right there. But with the new 7.0, building is so much easier with foundations. Now, like I said, this is creative. I'm just kind of trying to plug in all the gaps. I recommend you doing the same, just because the ants, even though the ants can actually still get stuck in the walls, the floors, these foundations, whatever you call them. I don't know where that went. I'll have to delete that, but that's fine. I'll do that from the top. Like I said, the ones that are directly underneath the grass floors, you can only go up one short of it like that. Get rid of this. Just because, you know, you can't put grass directly on top of that. And you see it's starting to get late in my game. As I say, you know, anytime you're building something, bring a lean-to, have a lean-to nearby. This is creative. I'll just drop one somewhere nearby. But if you're building the real game, have a lean-to close by. Have a lot of ant armor. Don't do this in spider armor because it won't end well. This is definitely something you want to do wearing ant armor, so you can carry more weed stems if you're going to do the spike strips, as well as so the ants don't attack you. Soldier ants get a little fussy if they see somebody building around their world. That has to go. So that pretty much keeps the ants from getting around the back and getting, you know, away from where you want them. You want them to go this way. You want them to go towards those spike strips. You want them to go towards those flowers that you have back there. You could even... And that way you have your spot to run up and jump up. It's up to you. This could even so much as be the little ramp piece. And you just run up that and hop up. So it's up to you. Definitely recommend putting a handrail right there, because if not, you will run off. And if you're like me and have spike strips on the outside as well, that could be very bad for your health and your armor. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just put that right there for now. And now it's just about decorating. You know, you saw I had a bunch of blueprints I hadn't completed. I just haven't spent the time to go do it yet, but I will get it done where I can have all that built and ready to go. I'm also throwing down some lights so you guys can see what I'm doing. Now let the 2 middle gaps open. So you see, it's just 2 little walls. This isn't much for the actual base itself. So let's... Oh, let's say I walked right past it. Whoops. Alright, so we're back in the daytime now. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of keep wrapping around. But the bulk of the prison is done. Like, the actual shape is done itself. And I stopped right there. I need to delete this. I'll do that once I get the ramp built, because I'm going to build a ramp to get up here. Wrong one. I know these are more expensive, but with acorns dropping more pieces now, it's not as big of a problem. And the fact that if you want to move your boxes in 7.0, you don't have to destroy them and lose the acorn shells. You're good to go with just picking them up and moving them. Also, too, if you want to put lights in the center of these walls, make sure that pink arrow is pointing towards you, not away, because that is technically the front of the wall, and you have to put the lights on the front, is one thing I've noticed. You can still put it on the back, but as in the very edge. If you put it in, if you have the wall facing you, you can put that light right in the center. I haven't noticed that the windows matter, but I'm gonna go, keep it all the same. So now let's go ahead and start doing some of this roof pieces that I had back here. So that is the squared corner piece. I'm just gonna do 2 of those. Do another one right here. And rotate one. And then just 2 regular corner pieces in between. And this had the boxes and stuff in there, so I really should not have done this first. So let's not do that just yet. Let's get the boxes laid out real quick. There aren't many, so it's going to be a quick little deal. These boxes are basically just for ant parts and stuff like that. And you have to do from the bottom up, so might as well get all those laid in, because if you put that roof piece on there, when you go to lay these up here, it will jump up onto the roof sometimes. It becomes a little bit of a pain, especially when I do the little piece on the very top shelf, because I do have one box sitting up high, and that's repair pieces and things like that. I need to put more repair items there for the now that the repair system has changed to a new recipe to repair everything. It's no longer just quartzite for your weapons. It's now quartzite plus some initial parts that you use to create it. Turn that around. And then now we'll put those roof pieces back. So do the shells with the boxes first, because you have to get that box in there, and sometimes that roof piece will just get in the way. Plenty of lights, because why not? And of course, I had lights on the outside, when you're coming in. Now, the lighting and everything, that's up to you. You put as many lights as you want. It's your world. Set it up your way. Those are not perfect, and I'm not too worried about their being 100% perfect. I'm just dropping them on the walls. In my world, I spent time and made sure they were all in just the right spot. Because, that's my world. And at the time, you couldn't move them around. Now you can. The workbench right here for making whatever. It's always a good idea to have a workbench somewhere. I've actually built a base and realized it the other day that I didn't even put a workbench in it. I was kind of surprised at myself. I normally don't miss things like that. Now, what I also did was I have a couple of different weapons over here that I leave over here for the purpose of repairing my lights that are down low, or clearing out ants and things like that. I do have 2 water dew collectors, so that when I sleep over here, I can wake up and there's plenty of water nearby. I do recommend some sort of handrail. I think I have sprig railings here, so you don't have to use the same handrails. Obviously, you can always just switch to sprig rails too. It's up to you. I don't know what I'm looking for. There we go. And then I had repair tool, a bow and arrow, and I had a box over here. This box is, if you saw my world, is just for gas arrows. For when I have a bunch of ants on the outside, I need to kill them real quick. I can stand up here on top of this, and I'm up high enough to not aggro them with the gas, and fire down at them, and kill them. It helps to get them out of the way. I put a simple bed just over here in the corner. I like to put a box at the foot of the bed, does. And I have 2 armor dummies that stay over here. One has ladybug armor. That's for when I decide I want to melee kill every ant in the world, or at least in here. And then the ant armor, so that when I decide to drop down in there and clean out the dead ants, pick up eggs, check on my lights to make sure the ants aren't breaking them, because sometimes I get weevils in my anthill. That way they will not attack me or my buildings if they can't get to me. That is the main reason, like I said, that's why I made this building as tall as I did, was because I was trying to make it so that when I was in here, the ants didn't get mad at me and start attacking my building because they couldn't reach me. Now, for the lights that I did up here, I know some people saw that and they're like, they're wondering how I did that. It's literally just 2 sprig rails, and they will attach like this in the game. They will attach to this center roof piece. And then I just took and put, it doesn't provide a whole lot of light, but it's really cool to look at, or at least a really cool visual effect. They aren't very bright though. The lights on just the center one. Thank you. And I think I had a couple of lights in here. Something like this. This. Just putting up lights everywhere. See, my world, I have the walls backwards, so I have to have them way on the edge. I don't have the ability to do that. I mean, place it in the center. And you guys saw I had 2 lamps right here. It's just because when I redesigned everything, I had extra lamps. So instead of destroying them, I just put lights here to put lights here for no other reason than I didn't want to waste the resources. And you can put a zipline anchor right here. The zipline anchor is here from before we got the wall-mounted anchor, so that's why that's there. I also did put a trail marker roughly right here, just kind of so I can mark the anthill again. And then just lights. I also do suggest handrails down there for sure. Down this way, so that you don't have to worry about falling in and landing on spike strips. Yes, I did put 2 walls on each side of this, just so I could have something to put the handrails on, and so it would kind of continue the same look. It was all about making it look right. I know some people are thinking, man, that's overkill. Well, if you've ever seen my world and seen how I build and seen some of my bases, overkill is kind of the norm for me. I don't mind going to collect the supplies. I don't mind spending the time doing that. Now, one thing I did notice when they may have changed it with the new update, but every now and then a bee would go down in here because I have those lure traps down there for the ants, and it would start bumping its head trying to get out. And I didn't want to attack it because they can destroy your stuff quick if they get mad at you. So what I did was spike strips on the inside edge, they will attach to the top of the foundations like so. And it gives that barbed wire look too, like you see at any kind of prison. And yes, you can do this even in the regular game. I have a few on the outside; those are just extra. I'll put more there eventually, but not right now, because right now to get thistle needles, you only get 70 per plant, which respawn about once. They respawn every 2 days, I think it is. So if you're not in the test server yet, obviously not in the update yet, stock up on thistle needles, especially if you want to do something like this, because I'm about to lay down a bunch of spike strips. Bunches. Now down here, I'll do the lights real quick. I put the lights up kind of high just in case. I didn't want the ants to accidentally attack them when they were going after the weevils, because, like I said, I have been getting weevils in my world, in my anthill. So, just trying to keep them somewhat the same height. I like symmetry. I see these are getting a little lower, so I did bring them up. Because the last thing I want is ants to break my stuff. And they've done that in the past, so I'm not trying to have them break everything. Let's get all these turned on real quick. Do the other side real fast. Especially now that I can move them, I can get in there and maybe adjust some placement on some of my lights. I'm pretty sure these are not the exact same in each side. I'm not worried about that right now. In the real game, I have gone through and checked, like, okay, line this one up, line that one up. I'm not doing that now. So now we're gonna start with spike strips. I have mine facing away from the wall. I also have mine spaced to where I can get between them and the wall. I need to move this one over. And yes, somebody's gonna say, well, the ants can just walk down past those down the side wall. They do. But then they turn around and come back, and they don't always follow the exact same path back, and they walk on the spike strips. And I would say the 5 chests of eggs that I showed you guys at the beginning of the video more than says that this works. Now, I'm not going to put one there. Obviously, in the real game, you can't walk on them like this. I see mine. I think mine is shifted to the side just a little bit because that clump of mud is more centered in mine. But that doesn't matter. It'll still do the job. Now, this gap right here, I'd recommend, at least one. It kind of doesn't work without one. I have 3, just because. Surround them with spike strips. I left a gap, like I said, so I could walk between here. And also because these disappear into the mud. And I hated the way that looked. See how it just kind of disappears? So then I came in front. I just went 3 wide. And just went forward with that. And I kept going until they started disappearing into the mud again. Like, that'll probably be the last row, because you see they're starting to disappear. And I don't want them to be underneath this and me walk in the mud and all of a sudden I'm taking damage. But this way, yes, they are a little crooked because, like I said, I'm shifted more to the right from the way my character's facing in this. Whereas in the regular game, my setup is shifted a little bit more left. But this way you can get around the sides. You can clean up all your dead ants and move around safely without having to worry about, stepping on spike strips and getting hurt. So you can sit here and be just like, all right, and then move around, clean up everything. And you see it still killed a bunch of ants. I still had a lot of stuff to clean up. And the ants come out. They can't get out of this. They walk down there. They die. And then one thing I did have on mine that I'm not going to do here because it's going to take forever. I'll just go back to the regular game and show you. Is the spike strips around the edge. This mistake is actually going to be beneficial for one reason. And that is so I can do that. Now, originally I had this here because I was going to do a bounce web. I was like, oh, I'm just do a bounce web here. That'll work. Then I changed my mind. Then I decided I wanted just a nice, clean, double wide ramp that came all the way up here. That met in right here. And yes, you can put however many or however few lights you want. It's up to you. And I decided to go with the roof beast because 1 wheat stem and 4 clovers, which are in your inventory, versus what's on your shoulder, and you're good to go. Now you see this is going to go red here in just a second when I get down. It's not going to want to connect. And that's okay. So the way I connected mine without having a whole bunch of stuff sticking out of the ground, I laid out the blueprints. Just the blueprints. I didn't complete them. That's the key. I laid out the blueprints on one side, and then I did the exact same thing. I brought it down again because I was trying to get it down to the mud, support it in the mud, and then go back up and get rid of all those extra unnecessary blueprints on the side. So what I did was, I don't need to go any further than that. I just need the triangle wall blueprint. Obviously creative, there's, you don't get to do blueprints. And that now supports it in from the mud. I can get rid of all of this and watch it collapse. I think what I did was I left... Wrong thing. That right there. Not over there. Next game. I mean, there's plenty of grass over here, so it doesn't really matter about that. You can make it look however you want. I just tried not to have too much underneath there because I didn't want the ants to have something to attack. If for whatever reason they got mad at me when I was leaving one time and started breaking my stuff, because they could do that. And obviously to get rid of that, I went around here and got rid of... Ooh, that says supporting 4. I don't know how I did mine. Maybe I have it right here too. I don't know. They may have to, do something like this. And then that gives you a nice, smooth run up. And it all lines up nice and, all symmetric. Double wide up, double wide entrance, double lights. Everything's, all nice and clean laid out. But that is my ant prison that I use to farm up ant eggs for the bombs that I use to cut grass. I mean, the bombs, everybody's like, oh, the bombs aren't that great in combat. You're right, they're not. They're great for cutting grass, though, because they're back to doing more damage, so they cut more grass now, and they are far more effective than they were during 6.0, 6.1, 6.2, 3, whatever number it finally stopped at. So, if you guys like this content and would like to see more like it, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and until the next video, you guys have a good one.